All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, January 25th. We got a decent-sized NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game. But as always, all of my final plays are going to be in the pinned comment. The comment pinned to the top of the comment section for those that keep asking where is the pinned comment. But that's where all of my final plays, when I'm actually rolling with myself, those plays are going to live. So if you guys do want to ride with those, or if you want to fade those picks in the pinned comment, make sure to keep an eye on that, updated throughout the day. Last night, another profitable night. We are on some sort of a run here. One bucket away from a sweep from the Cavs, but they lose by 10. We had them plus 8.5. Giannis over 6.5 assists for plus 104. We shall take that. The dude had a triple-double. Suns, Mavs under 241.5. They finished at 241. So that half point saved the day for us. And then Warriors minus 4.5. Like I told you guys, I had a feeling they'd come out kind of strong after all the emotional stress and whatnot that they've been through, and they pound down on the Hawks. So 3-1 night. Not going to get upset about that. That close to a sweep. But I guess with the Mavs and Suns under, you can make the argument that I was that close to losing that one as well. So it is what it is. But we'll take the 3-1 night. In terms of the ride of the day, we're still on the win train now. Michael in last video got the shout out. He won, but he didn't enter a ride of the day for yesterday's video. So now we have Nick. We jumped on board with him, who he said he was 3-0 so far in ride of the day. So I was like, all right, let's give you a shot. Max Strus over 19.5 PRA. He finishes with, I believe it was 12, 4, and 4, something like that. So 20 PRAs, just barely cashing, but nonetheless, it is a cash, and we're abusing the soundboard this morning. But shout out to Nick. We'll await his ride of the day for today in the comments. But if you guys don't know how the ride of the day works, all you have to do is use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a pick. I'm picking one person's pick, jumping on board with them, and then giving them a shout out, win or loss, in the next video. If you win, we continue to ride with your pick until you lose. Also giving a shout out over on my X here at EvGuyBoston. Make sure you're following me there. We give a shout out right when we select the ride of the day too, so it's a good way to keep up to date with the ride of the day. But let's go ahead and jump into this January 25th slate, starting it off with what could be a good game. We have the Pacers taking on the 76ers in this one. So obviously with how things work, we jump right to the injury report with this Pacers team as of late. And Tyrese Haliburton has been ruled out for Thursday. So huge, obviously, hit to them, but they have been used to playing without him as of late, so I guess we'll give him a little bit of credit there. On the Sixers side of things, Patrick Beverley, Tobias Harris, Covington, all questionable. Actually, I think Covington is out for a little while longer, and D'Anthony Melton is also still out. So some injuries to note, Haliburton being that biggest one, obviously. In terms of a lean here, I think I have to look at the Sixers. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They've won 6 straight games. And it's a little bit of both in terms of a mix of, like, they're beating up on the Spurs and Charlotte, but they also beat Denver. They beat Houston, Sacramento, some better teams there as well. So I think that they obviously have the track record within their last 10 at least, that they beat some good teams. And who knows where Indiana really ranks in terms of good, okay, bad, like without Tyrese Haliburton. So I'm going to lean towards Philadelphia. If Tyrese Haliburton was playing, this may be one that we consider looking at the Pacers, just because I think they'll play with some serious pace. But he clearly isn't healthy right now, right? He comes back from injury, gets injured again, and is out for the last couple games, and now this one. So give me the Sixers minus the 5 points in this spot. In terms of the total, you know, I like the Sixers and how they've been cashing overs. If Tyrese Haliburton was playing again, this would probably be a strong lean towards the over. Right now, it's going to be a slight lean towards the over. I still would feel silly taking an under in this spot, because Pacers still play with, you know, decent pace, and the Sixers play really, really well in terms of efficiencies and everything like that. So again, I'd feel kind of silly to not take I would feel silly to take the under. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the over. Now, a player prop I don't mind in this spot, and does Haliburton being out change this? Potentially, because I don't love the defensive matchup as well. But Tyrese Maxey under 28.5 points and or his under 39.5 PRA. I think both of those are just slightly inflated lines. In terms of on the season, we'll look at his the points, 28.5 here. He's hit the under here in plenty of games this season. He's hit the under in 66% of games. In his last 10, he's only gone over that twice. In his last 5, he's gone over it once. Head to head, he's got 2 games against the Pacers this year. Dropped 51 game and then 27 the next. So yes, he's obviously a tough guy to bet against, but in terms of a lean here, I don't mind looking at his numbers, and they're under just because I do think that they're slightly inflated. Next up, we have Washington taking on the Jazz here. Washington catching 7.5 points at home. They are coming off a game yesterday, so they are in a back-to-back. They ended up not covering against Minnesota. So that game actually was like closer than it probably should have been for most of the game. And then, when push comes to shove, end of the game here, Minnesota ends up winning that one 18-7, 118 to 107. Washington being 10.5 point dogs. They just barely miss out on covering that. Utah covering off of 3 straight losses. OKC, Houston in Houston, and then New Orleans in New Orleans. They've had a kind of rough stretch here in terms of teams they have to play. I assume that this is going to be a game like a get-right spot for them, a spot in which they're playing definitely the worst team that they've played in, 3 or 4 games, and they should be able to go out there and smack up Washington. So I'm going to lean towards Utah in this one. My only concern, and you guys should probably, think about this too when diving into this game, is that Utah was playing really poorly, especially on the road. Then all of a sudden they were good at home, bad on the road still, right? And then they got to a point where they were just kind of good. Like they were a good basketball team right before this little stretch of 3-game bad games, right? So it's like, what was that stretch, I guess, is kind of my concern. Are they actually good, or was that a flash in the pan? This game should be telling of that, because they're finally healthy now. They made the lineup changes, and now they're playing a team that they should be in a good spot with Washington on a back-to-back. So we'll be able to kind of suss out what Utah truly is in this game. But as of right now, I do lean towards them minus the 7.5 points. When we're looking at the total, it's really hard to consider the under. Last 10 game sample size here, you have Utah leading the league in pace and Wizards right behind them. So it's like, it's tough to even consider an under. So I think it's chalky, but I'm going to lean slightly towards the over in this spot just because of what I just said. Like, these are 2 teams that fly. Washington is on a back-to-back. Maybe their legs are tired offensively, but that means Utah should score even more points if their legs are tired, because they'd be tired on the defensive end. A player prop I like, and it is going to be looking at another under. It's a guy that has made us so much money this season, Colin Sexton, but I'm looking at his under 5.5 assists. This really comes from a volume perspective. So in his last 7 games, he's averaging 9.9 potential assists. In his last 5 games, he's averaging 10 potential assists. So it's kind of like, I'd like to see a few more potential assists before considering the over, because he'd have to capitalize on nearly, 60-65% of those potential assists, which I like to use like a barometer of 50% gets you your number. So just from a volume perspective, I slightly lean towards the under. But again, if this is going to be a fast-paced game, a lot of points scored, that probably gets an uptick. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we even end up rolling with that. As of right now, like I said, it's a lean, but nothing else truly jumps out at me here. And it kind of sucks to bet against Colin Sexton because he's been cashing for us so much with his points line. All right, before we continue on with the slate, I do want to talk to you about Outlier, guys. That is the tool that I'm using when I show the green and reds. Either it's on these videos or the graphs on these videos, or on my YouTube shorts or on TikTok, guys. This is a great tool. Right now, I have it filtered to the game that we just checked out, and we can go into Colin Sexton here, go to his assist numbers, and you can see how often he's cashed it as of late on the season, head-to-head, last 20, last 10, last 5. Hell, we can look at last year, right? We can even look at Washington's rankings against each of these positions, and then we can get in here and look at them overall as well. This is a really cool stat, and it's not just for cool tool. It's not just for player props. You can also look at games from the same perspective and looking at their hit rates to the current line that they have today. Guys, go ahead and check out Outlier. And when I say check it out, you can check it out for free. 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment. Absolute no-brainer in my mind. So go check that out. Again, that link is in the pinned comment. You get 7 days free. After that, it's $19.99 a month for that tool. They have a bunch more tools that come at a higher cost, but you guys can check those out yourselves. Go check it out. 7 days free. Link in the pinned comment. All right, Brooklyn taking on Minnesota. Like I said, Wizards kind of kept Minnesota in check for a little bit last night. Does that impact what we're going to do tonight in this spot? I want to say no, because Brooklyn really hasn't been a team that I've been all that afraid of against the spread in, what, 2 months, right? So it is kind of tough to consider them, but what I'm doing here is looking at that line, and the fact that it is just 4.5 is like, it's a little worrisome if you ask me. Like why is it just 4.5, right? So I guess line reading wise, I look at the home team in Brooklyn plus the points. I doubt that becomes a final play, because like I said, I don't think that we can really trust Brooklyn against Minnesota, who's obviously a very good team, but they're on a back-to-back. Should that kill them? Maybe not. They're 2-2 against the spread on back-to-backs this season. They are on the road. Obviously, they're a better home team than road team, so lots pointing at why Minnesota may struggle, and maybe that's the reasoning and rationale for the line. So I'm going to lean towards Brooklyn here, plus the 4.5 points. Cam Johnson's on the injury report for them. If he doesn't play, that's going to be obviously pretty tough, because this is Brooklyn team that needs all the help it can get. In terms of a total, 217 right now. So this is where I think things get interesting. This Brooklyn team, in terms of pace of play here, they are not playing very fast whatsoever. 4th slowest team over the last 10 games. You know Minnesota's defense is going to come to play. We saw that yesterday as well. Now, Minnesota, in terms of no rest situation, so back-to-backs to the over and under, they've hit 4 overs in their 4 back-to-backs this season. So is the defense there? I hope so, because I like the under ever so slightly, 217. Now, it's a low number, and even me telling you that Minnesota, yes, they're a good defense, not as great on the road, and that no rest situation, so back-to-backs, they've only cashed overs, gets a little worrisome. So again, this could be a spot where we leave it as a lean. Now, from a player prop perspective in this game, because I don't really love the game, nothing jumped off the page to me. I don't mind Mike Conley's under 9.5 points. I don't know if he gets to double digits here. He is on the injury report too, so even if he plays, I think he's going to be a little bit banged up. Karl-Anthony Towns under 11.5 rebounds plus assists. Really don't like the clog in the middle there of him getting potential rebounds, because it's going to be Gobert, Claxton, right? And then it's like, okay, well, are there really going to be that many rebounds left over? Assists wise too, in his last 5 games here, he's only averaging 3 potential assists, so that could just be a little topple on in terms of getting that line higher. So Karl-Anthony Towns under his rebounds and assists could be one that I consider. Also that Conley line, but keep an eye on the pinned comment, guys. A lot of question marks, I think, in this game in terms of why the line is where it is. How will Minnesota's defense show up? Yada, yada, yada. All right, Miami taking on my Boston Celtics. This is a pretty sharp line, I feel like, because I kind of had this pegged at maybe Celtics minus 6.5, something like that. And it's 7. So it's kind of, a little shaky there on the rocks. I still like the Celtics because they're healthy. When the Celtics team is healthy, if they're playing a team that, I don't really trust, which I don't trust Miami. They've now lost 4 straight games, and they're on a back-to-back here. Like yesterday, if you rewatch the video, I liked Miami in terms of a lean. There's a reason why we didn't make it a final play, right? Because they just haven't had the proof in the pudding. I thought they were in a get-right spot yesterday against Memphis, and Memphis beats them by nearly 10 points. They were 11.5 point favorites, Miami was, and they almost lose by 10 points. So it's like, okay, you're a little bit in disarray here, and the trade's going on. I don't know if Terry Rozier gets the play tonight. So not that I think it'll impact it all that much anyways. I feel like usually it takes a game or 2 for players to get acclimated. Now, Rozier was a Boston Celtic at one point, so maybe if he does play, there's a little extra, spring in his step. But nonetheless, guys, give me the Celtics minus the points here. In terms of the total, 225, I think you got to look at the over. Mainly because of the Celtics, right? So Miami's offense has been absolutely tough, but if Miami can get to 100 points today, which they've struggled to do so in 4 of their last 5 games, so that's not a guarantee whatsoever, right? But if they can get to 100 points or so, I think the Celtics can have a pretty good scoring night. The Celtics, as of late, the offense looks good. It's just if they're blowing you out, they don't necessarily step on your neck. So I'll lean towards the over, but we'll see if that ends up being a final play, obviously. In terms of a player prop here, I like Kristaps Porzingis here over 1.5 assists. I do think that this is a good spot for him. It's a little bit juice, so make sure you're getting your best price out there. But in terms of playing against Bam Adebayo and whatnot, like Bam Adebayo, yes, he's gonna have a height disadvantage against Kristaps. He's probably got a slight strength advantage, and we know that he is a good defender. Right now, they're allowing the fewest on the season assists to centers this entire year. So it's like, why the hell would you take the over, right? Well, he's hit this in 8 of his last 10. He's had 7 assist game, 5 assist games, and everyone's healthy here. So if he gets in trouble down low, he's going to be able to kick it out to Tatum or anybody, right, for a 3. Those are the type of assists that I'm envisioning him getting today. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. We want to get the best odds right now. Right now, looking at minus 155 on BetMGM, but minus 179 on Caesar. So that's some serious value. If we can grab that, then great. If it gets to that minus 170 mark, I probably don't touch it because, again, this is a guy that doesn't get many assists. It is a low number, but honestly, for minus 170, too much juice. All right, Knicks taking on the Nuggets, probably one of the better games of the slate here, and I don't know if this warrants the psycho alert alarm, but I'm leaning Knicks here plus the points. Like I said, I don't know if that really warrants the psycho alert alarm, but Denver obviously is the better team, but I just don't love Denver on the road, right? We keep talking about it. Their road stats are really tough this season. Straight up on the road here, they're 14-10. So you're like, okay, that's not that bad, but they are a 31-14 team overall. Like they're 17-4 at home. So that's a tale of two different teams there. And then against the spread is really where it gets kind of like, what's going on there? 8-15-1. Like, not the best look for a championship caliber, favorites in the West type of a team. But nonetheless, I do think that this is a spot in which, this will be a close game and everything like that. So Denver could win. If you're on Denver's side of things, I'm not going to sit here and try and talk you off of it. I just like the Knicks situation at home. I like the basketball the Knicks are playing. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. Have they had the hardest strength of schedule? No, we can admit that, right? But the defense is playing ridiculous, like ridiculous. In their last 5 games here, in terms of points allowed, they're averaging just under 101, or no, actually just under 101 is what I'm trying to say. 100.8 points allowed per game. That is absolutely absurd. And this is in a time where Denver's offense isn't really firing on all cylinders. They're only averaging 113 per game in their last 5. So I like the Knicks defense to keep them in this game. Again, if you're on Denver, I'm not talking you off of it because this could easily be a Denver win by 4, right? I just think it's going to be a close game, so why not take the home dog in my brain? Now, the total sitting at 223.5. I just talked about, I think it's going to be a low, Denver's defense and blah, blah, blah. I got to trust it. I'm going to lean towards the under in this game as well. In terms of pace of play, this Nuggets team has been playing slow too. Last 10, 6th slowest team in the league. The bad part, or I shouldn't say it's the bad part, but New York, they can play fast. Now, in the last 10, big sample size are the 7th slowest team. So we have 2 teams that are looking pretty good from a pace perspective, right? But the Knicks are starting to play a little bit faster. That number goes up if you shrink it down to the last 5. So little worrisome there, but I gotta trust this Knicks defense. Maybe we even look at the Nuggets team total. That's what we did against the Nets, and we cashed that a couple nights ago because you could probably get a good number. In fact, let me just look it up on Outlier really quickly. We can jump in. You guys get a live check here. So Knicks, look at that. They've cashed that under in 7 of their last 10. But if we dive into the match details here, we can go to team props, look at the Nuggets points. Right now it's 12.5, so they don't have any alternate lines out. But throughout the day, this will fill with a bunch of lines, and we could see what it is. So we might be able to get like an under 115.5 or minus 130 or something. Not necessarily what I'm loving. I was kind of hoping to see a higher number, but nonetheless, could be something we consider. Now, a player prop, not to flash your screen like a strobe light here, but Julius Randle over 4.5 assists is something that I'm definitely considering. And minus 155, similar to what we just talked about with our last, Kristaps Porzingis one. BetMGM struggling behind here in terms of odds. So this is an EV play too. Minus 155 on BetMGM. DraftKings at minus 180. Best odds over here. He's hit this over 4.5 assists in 9 of his last 10 games. He finished on the hook in the one that he did not. From an assist perspective, Julius Randle last 5 games here, 12.2 potential assists. Like, I really like the volume. I like the quantity. And power forwards here, if there's anything that the Nuggets struggle at, I guess this season, it is, allowing power forwards to dish the rock. So give me Randle over assists in this spot. I really do like this spot. Head to head, he's come up just shy, but these are both games last season, so I'm not going to judge him too harshly for that. But yeah, Julius Randle over 4.5 assists. Probably one of my favorite player props on the board today. All right, Warriors hosting the Kings. Warriors are on a back-to-back. Like I said, big cash for us last night, so I do like that they did that for us, obviously. I don't know if today goes the same way. They are on a back-to-back. That being said, I'll give them their credit that they're 4-3 against the spread when it comes to back-to-backs this season. But Sacramento, I just believe, is like that much better than the Warriors here. And not necessarily like, again, it's that much. Like, this is not a wide talent discrepancy, but I do think that Sacramento is the better team. The records would show that. The games that they've won and played, you know, have showed that. Last time they played, which was late November, Sacramento won this game by 1 point, and it was the exact same spread, right? So they lost against spread. Golden State covered that 1.5. I think it's a similar game, but that spread is not big enough for me to talk myself off of Sacramento. They're coming off of a good win. This is what, 3 nights ago against Atlanta. They needed that. They had lost like 4 straight, but played Philly, Milwaukee, Phoenix, and then Indiana. Like, they didn't have the easiest of schedules there. So yeah, give me them. And now they're in like the third game. They're in the middle of a road trip, so it's like the timing shouldn't matter to them. If it was the first game or the last game of a road trip, maybe I'd think that. But also, is it a road trip playing Golden State? Not all that much. So I'll take Sacramento in this spot minus the 1.5 points. Now the total sitting at 240.5. I've seen this bump up to 242 on some books. So give me the over. If we can get it at 240.5 and this thing's already soaring that quickly, yeah, I'll go ahead and lean towards the over in that spot. And a player prop that I really don't mind is going to be Harrison Barnes, ex-Warrior, right? Over 9.5 points. Give me 10 points there. He's hit this in 3 straight games against the Warriors. And I think 2 of those came this season, if I'm not mistaken. Or actually, all 3 of those, they played 3 times this season. So all 3 games, he's hit the over here. And the Warriors over the last 7 games, allowing the most points in the entire league to the opposing small forward position. So not that it's a revenge spot. The dude's played against them plenty, right? But I do think that this is a decent spot for him to, I guess, continue to cash this number against his former team. Also, I feel like I can't just blow by the fact that he had 30 plus last game either. Like, maybe he's feeling it. Maybe that's the worst thing that could have happened to him because I was not going to score, but maybe he's feeling a little saucy, right? But anyways, we're moving into the Lakers and the Bulls game. This is the last game of today's slate. This is an interesting one to me. Like I've told you guys kind of all season long, this Bulls team already kind of exceeded expectations, right? Like, they went on that streak, they played good basketball. Now they're kind of back to just like seesawing, win-loss, win-win, loss-loss, that type of thing. And the Lakers, on the other hand, they're doing the exact same thing, so I guess it's on the same hand. But the Lakers are at home here. Chicago on the road trip. I'm going to lean Lakers minus the 5 points. You're going to want to keep an eye on the injury report. LeBron James is questionable. He missed last game, right? Anthony Davis also questionable, but those guys love being on the injury report together. For the Bulls, you have Levine. He's out, and then Patrick Williams is questionable as well. So definitely keep an eye on the injury report, but no Levine. If LeBron gets the go, Anthony Davis gets the go, I think 5 points to the Lakers is not all that crazy. Late night game against Chicago, a team that has struggled on the road this season. 10-11 against the spread, 7-14 straight up. They've been better, you know, about a month ago they got a little bit better, but still nonetheless not really loving what they have to offer, to be completely honest. In terms of a total here, so 226.5. What we have from trends from both sides is that the Lakers have hit under this number in 8 of their last 10 games. The Bulls have actually cashed the over in, I think it's 5 of their last 10, so they're kind of split right here, but they still in their last 10, you extrapolate that sample size, they've cashed the under. I think it's still 5, obviously 5 and 5, but if you look at it from a last 8 perspective, bear with me here because I'm mathing, the math ain't mathing, but in their last 8 they've cashed the under in 5 of the last 8. So I guess trend wise they're trending towards the under to this line. And if I think the Lakers are going to play a little bit slower than normal, which the Bulls, you really don't have to worry about that. They're going to play slow, but the Lakers are top 10 pace team in the last 5 games or so. If they play a little bit slower, I think the under cashes in this spot. Player prop wise, I struggled to find anything I liked in this game, to be completely honest. So I probably end up sticking away from any player props. But yeah, maybe we get a peek at Alex Caruso over 1.5 threes. It's kind of crazy, but he's hit it in 8 of his last 10, 7 straight games. And he's actually taken, 6 attempts per game in his last 10. He took 11 last game against Phoenix. So that's kind of why there's an uptick, right? Of that quantity, but this is a guy that, you know, they played earlier in the year, mid-December, and he had 3 threes against them. You don't necessarily think of him as a shooter, more like a defender, right? But the kind of trends in there in and of itself. So yeah, that's where I'll lean, but keep an eye on the pinned comment, guys. As always, it's going to do it for the show. Hope you guys do enjoy. Make sure to comment 24 if you made it this far into the video, because I love seeing those numbers. And I know I have to switch it up. Everyone keeps saying, guys, or Ev, you got to switch this up. Guys just keep coming in here and just commenting 24 because they know what it means, because they see everyone else doing it. So we'll think about it. You know, sometimes I've thrown questions at you and whatnot, but I wanted to take just 1 minute here. If you want to click off the video, fine, but I want to share some news going forward for the channel. So we're gonna have so much more time in about a month and a half or so to dedicate more time to content and everything like that, which I'm super excited about. So I am going to be bringing multiple things to the channel. We're gonna do more live streams, so we'll keep our Monday slot, but I'm gonna be planning on figuring out which day. I'm thinking like Wednesday, maybe Thursday, something like that, doing literally like almost like a 9 to 5 like live stream. Maybe it's not that long, maybe it's a 10 to 1 p.m. type of a live stream where we just stream everything. You see me looking at my screens, placing my final plays, all that good stuff. You just see a whole, like, within the computer, day in the life of finding sports bets. I think that could be really, really cool. A long live stream, like all day, right? And we also have, I kind of want to bring back, actually, I won't tease this yet, but we do have more of a podcast format video coming back to the channel that I really want to kind of bring back. So we'll leave it at that, but we do have some more coming, and I guess the big news is that we are gonna have way more time dedicated towards making videos. So you guys think that we have a lot of videos coming out already? I think we posted just under 800 videos in 2023. Yeah, that's right, there's only 365 days, so under 800 videos. You guys think that that was a lot? We got more coming, guys. We're grinding, and, you know, we're not stopping here. We just hit 50K. You guys have been unbelievably supportive since then. We're going to keep grinding for you guys. So, yeah, not to go on a rant at the end of the video, but I did kind of want to give you an update. I wanted to share more, but still a little moving parts here, so I didn't want to, you know, I guess embark on too many. I started to talk too much. I was like, shut your big mouth, Ev. But nonetheless, guys, that's all I have for you guys. Hope you guys do enjoy your days. Have some good bets out there, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.